watching WGN Evening News.
Back to our top story, the developing story in the last half hour. The Florida pastor was going to mark the 9th anniversary of September 11th, the attacks, by burning Islam's holy books, and many of them. Now, he says he's calling it off because, in his words, the leader of the New York planned Islamic Center near Ground Zero has agreed to move that controversial location, or at least the building, to a different location. The imam for that mosque reporting minutes ago that he simply offered to meet with the pastor in New York to talk about the whole situation, and says he's not agreed to move anything as of yet. Now, joining us live from the Tribune Tower, Ahmed Rehab, Executive Director of CAIR, which is the Chicago Council on American Islamic Relations. Ahmed, thanks for joining us tonight.
Good to be on, Mark.
Let's put this all in perspective. Let's start first with the pastor. Give us your take on what has been leading up to what he says is some sort of deal in which he will not be burning the Qur'an.
Well, first of all, he's wrong. There is no such deal on the table. This pastor is not exactly an example of honesty and integrity. He's a radical. He's an extremist. And my take on him is that, you know, every faith, unfortunately, has its bad apples. We have them in the Muslim faith. In the Christian faith, you have wackos and kooks as well, and he's one of them.
Now, the imam apparently has agreed in New York City to meet with this pastor to talk about the situation. What do you make of that?
The imam is trying as much as he can to reconcile with everybody, to reach out and engage in dialogue. That is his style. That is his modus operandi. But apparently with Pastor Terry Jones, I think that he is just out to sensationalize and to be able to make his way into the mainstream media that way. The guy only has 50 people in his entire congregation. He's been in business for decades. That tells you a little something about how popular he is and really how fringe he is.
Do you think he put himself in a box that he's trying to get himself out of right now, and in your words, not telling the truth?
I definitely think that he is trying to get himself out of the box, but you know what? I think he's the kind of guy that craves the attention because he can't get it otherwise. And I think that's unfortunate, because when you pit an entire faith community and really the image of America around the world, because people out there are going to watch this and say, this is an American Christian pastor doing this. But of course, he does not represent Christianity or America for that matter.
Mr. Rehab, there was a poll in New York City asked about the location of the mosque, and a majority, I think it was a clear majority, in that particular poll said they didn't necessarily want the Islamic Learning Center, the mosque, at the Ground Zero location. What do you make of that?
I think that's a result of the campaign of misinformation that's been out there for many weeks and perhaps months that states that this is a victory mosque, that it's somehow related to Al-Qaeda. You know, this is a mosque being built by moderates, by people who are American, of the American experience. It is meant to outreach to other people. It's going to have a memorial for the victims of 9/11 in the center itself. So there's a campaign of misinformation, and the 71% is really a statement on that campaign of misinformation.
Ahmed Rehab, Executive Director of CAIR, the Chicago Council on American Islamic Relations. Thanks for joining us to try and put today's events, which have been breaking in the last hour, in some perspective. Thank you.
Always good to be on. Thanks.
Lourdes.